Welcome to This is Thailand, where we share real stories from expats who came here looking for something and found something else entirely. Today's story is about Vince, a 59-year-old mechanic from Portland, Oregon, who thought he understood how things worked. He spent his whole life fixing problems with logic and a steady hand. Engines made sense to him, people not so much. And when grief broke him in a way he'd never been broken before, he came to Thailand looking for a solution. What he found was a lesson he never saw coming. This one's going to stay with you. Here's his story, in his own words. My name is Vince. I fixed cars for 35 years in Portland, Japanese mostly, some domestics. I liked the work because it made sense. You diagnose the problem, you fix it, and if you do it right, the thing runs. No arguments, no hurt feelings, no confusion, just cause and effect. Linda understood that about me. We were married 28 years. She was quiet like me, practical. We didn't need to fill every silence with talk. Weekends, we'd work on the house together, room by room. Stripped the kitchen down to studs one summer, rebuilt it ourselves. We had plans, retirement plans. Drive down the coast, maybe see Montana. She wanted to visit her sister in Boise. Just normal stuff. The kind of stuff that doesn't feel important until it's gone. 3 years ago, Linda was out in the garden. I was in the garage organizing my toolbox, which sounds stupid now, but that's what I was doing. I heard this sound, not a scream, just a kind of thump. By the time I got to her, she was on the ground by the tomatoes. Aneurysm. She was gone before the ambulance got there. The EMT told me she probably didn't feel anything. I don't know if that's true or if they just say that. I kept going to work because I didn't know what else to do. The house felt wrong. Her coffee mug was still in the dish rack. Her gardening gloves were on the bench by the door. Friends told me I should start dating, that Linda would want me to be happy, all that stuff people say. But I couldn't imagine sitting across from some woman at a restaurant trying to explain who I was. I was just the guy whose wife died in the garden. About 6 months after, this regular customer came in. Guy named Rick, divorced, kind of loud but decent enough. He'd just gotten back from Thailand and wouldn't shut up about it. He kept showing me photos on his phone. Beaches, cheap beer, these smiling women in bars. He kept saying stuff like, "They treat you right over there. They appreciate a good man, not like American women." I wasn't interested in the bar girl stuff. That wasn't me. But the idea of going somewhere warm, somewhere I could afford, somewhere nobody knew me as that guy whose wife died, that started to sound pretty good. I did the math. I had my pension, about $2,400 a month. Linda's life insurance and selling the house would give me around $95,000 in savings if I was careful about it. I started looking into retirement visas. Thailand lets you in if you're over 50 and can prove income or savings. I watched YouTube videos, read expat forums, clicked through photos of Chiang Mai and Phuket and Bangkok. It all looked so different from Portland. So far away from the empty house and the garden I couldn't look at anymore. I told myself I'd just go for 6 months, see what it was like, but I also called a real estate agent and put the house on the market. Linda and I had paid most of it off. The agent said in that market I'd clear maybe $340,000 after the mortgage and fees. That's when I knew I wasn't coming back. You don't sell the house if you're planning to come home. I booked a one-way ticket to Bangkok, told the guys at the shop I was retiring early. They threw me a little party, got me a card, the usual. Rick pulled me aside and gave me the name of his hotel in Pattaya. Said I should check it out, said I'd thank him later. I didn't know what Pattaya was. I just knew I needed to be somewhere that wasn't Portland, wasn't the house, wasn't the life that ended when Linda hit the ground. Looking back now, I can see what I was doing. I thought I could fix my grief the way I fixed a blown head gasket, identify the problem, apply the solution, move on. The problem was loneliness. The solution was Thailand. But people aren't engines, and some problems don't have solutions, just things you learn to live with. I didn't know that yet. I stepped off the plane at Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok and the heat hit me like opening an oven door. It was February, supposed to be the cool season, but it felt like stepping into a wet blanket. The humidity made my shirt stick to my back before I even got through customs. The airport was massive, modern, but absolutely packed with people. Signs in Thai script I couldn't read, announcements in a language that sounded like singing. I followed the crowd and hoped I was going the right direction. I'd read online that the bus to Pattaya was cheaper than a taxi, ran about 20 baht versus maybe 1,500 in a cab. Old habits. I found the bus counter, bought my ticket, waited with a bunch of other foreigners and Thai families with too much luggage. The 2-hour ride gave me time to watch Thailand go by through scratched windows. Rice fields, industrial zones, those spirit house shrines in front of every building. Traffic that made Portland rush hour look organized. Pattaya hit different than I expected. I pictured beaches and palm trees, but the bus dropped me off on a busy street with 7-Elevens every 100 feet. Motorbikes weaving through traffic, power lines hanging so low I didn't understand how they didn't get ripped down. The air smelled like grilled meat and exhaust and something sweet I couldn't place. It was loud. Construction noise, engines, Thai pop music blasting from storefronts, vendors yelling. I'd booked a condo on Soibuakau through an agency. 1 bedroom, 7th floor, 15,000 baht a month, which worked out to about $450. Not beachfront, but I didn't need beachfront. It was clean enough. Tile floors, a balcony that looked at another condo building, air conditioning that rattled but worked. The building had a small pool downstairs where a few older Western guys sat with Leo beers, not talking, just watching their phones. That first week I walked around a lot. Didn't really know what else to do. I'd eat street food for lunch, pad thai or those grilled chicken skewers, maybe 40 or 50 baht. Dinner at small restaurants where I'd point at what other people were eating because I couldn't read the menu. Everyone was friendly enough, but I felt like I was in a bubble, separated by language and culture, and the simple fact that I didn't know what I was doing here. I walked down to Walking Street one evening because that's what you do, right? It was exactly what Rick had shown me in his photos, but worse in person. Neon everywhere, thumping music from every bar, girls in tight dresses trying to pull you inside, guys stumbling drunk at 8 p.m. The whole thing felt like a carnival designed to separate tourists from their money. I'm not a prude, but I felt completely out of place. These weren't people my age looking for company. These were younger guys on holiday, groups of Chinese tourists taking selfies. The whole scene felt performative and hollow. I walked through once and went back to my condo. Day 8, I was starting to feel the loneliness, pretty bad, not just Thailand loneliness, the same loneliness that had pushed me here in the first place. I was sitting in my condo at 6 p.m. eating 7-Eleven sandwiches and I thought, this is stupid. You came here to not be alone in Portland and now you're alone in Thailand. At least go sit somewhere with other people. There was a small bar a few streets from my building, not on the main strip. Just a regular open-air beer bar with a corrugated roof, plastic chairs, maybe 6 or 7 women working. I sat down and ordered a Chang beer. One of the women came over. Her name was Nok. She was maybe 34, wearing jeans and a regular blouse, not the bikini tops or short skirts the others had on. She asked where I was from, how long I'd been here, the usual questions. Her English was clear. Not perfect, but way better than my non-existent Thai. I asked her where she learned it. She said she'd studied hospitality management at a school in Bangkok, worked at a hotel for a while, but it didn't pay enough, especially with a daughter to support. She said it matter-of-factly, not like she was asking for sympathy, just stating facts. The mama-san, this older woman who ran the bar, came by and said something to Nok in Thai. Nok looked embarrassed and asked if I wanted to buy her a drink. I said sure. She ordered a Coke, which cost 150 baht. I learned that's how these places work. The girl gets a cut of the drink price. But Nok seemed uncomfortable about it, like she was apologizing without saying sorry. We talked about normal things. I told her about Portland, about fixing cars, about how different the traffic was here. She laughed when I said Thai drivers were insane. She said, "Welcome to Thailand." We talked about food. She recommended places away from the tourist areas, actual Thai restaurants. When I mentioned I couldn't read Thai, she offered to write down some names of dishes I could point to. It felt like a normal conversation, not a transaction. I came back the next 3 nights. Just sat at the same spot, drank a couple beers, talked to Nok when she had time between other customers. She told me about her daughter Ploy, 9 years old, living with Nok's mother up in Buriram. Showed me photos on her phone. Cute kid in a school uniform. Nok said she sent money home every month, came from a farming family. This bar work was temporary until she saved enough to open a small restaurant. That was her dream. Some tam stand, maybe some grilled chicken, something simple. On the 4th night, another customer, British guy, explained to me how bar fines worked. You pay the bar, usually 500 or 600 baht, to take the girl out for the evening. Short time, long time, whatever arrangement you make. I understood what that meant. I'd read the forums. But when I asked Nok if she wanted to get out of there, maybe get some food, she said she'd rather meet me tomorrow afternoon, her day off. We could get coffee. That caught me off guard. Everything I'd read online said bar girls always want the bar fine because that's how they make real money. But she was turning it down to meet me on her own time. We met at a coffee shop the next day. Not a tourist place, just a local spot with plastic chairs and instant coffee that cost 25 baht. She showed me more photos of Ploy, talked about wanting to get her into a better school. She asked about my wife. I'd mentioned Linda in passing. Nok didn't do the pity face that everyone back home did. She just listened. Said it must be very hard. Asked if I had children. I said no, we'd tried, but it didn't work out, and that felt like ancient history now. She talked about her family's farm, about rice seasons and drought, about her father dying when she was young, about coming to Pattaya because there was no work in Assam beyond farming, and she wanted something different for Ploy. She wasn't asking for money or sympathy, just talking. 2 people having coffee and sharing their lives. When we stood up to leave, she touched my hand across the table. just for a second, and I realized it was the first intentional human contact I'd had in 3 years that wasn't a handshake or someone patting my shoulder at Linda's funeral. It was the first time someone had touched me like I was a person, not a customer or a widower or a project to fix. I walked back to my condo feeling something I hadn't felt since before Linda died. Not happiness exactly, but less hollow, like maybe I wasn't completely alone. Looking back now, I can see what was happening, but at the time it felt real. It felt like something genuine was starting. That next week, we spent time together whenever she wasn't working at the bar. She'd finish her shift around midnight and we'd get late-night cow pad from a street vendor, sit on plastic stools eating fried rice and talking until 2 in the morning. During the day, she'd take me around Pattaya, not the tourist stuff, real places. We went to Wat Chai Mongkon, this temple up on the hill. She showed me how to weigh properly, how to make merit by putting 20 baht notes in the donation boxes. We walked through Nong Nush gardens, and she explained the different plants, laughed when I couldn't pronounce their Thai names. She took me to restaurants where I was the only foreigner, small places with plastic chairs and no English menus. She'd order for us. Some tam that made my eyes water, grilled pork skewers, sticky rice. Real Thai food, not the toned-down stuff they serve tourists. One afternoon, she introduced me to her aunt. At least she called her aunt. Could have been a friend, I didn't ask. The woman ran a laundry service, had a shop with industrial washers and these massive piles of hotel linens. She spoke almost no English, but smiled a lot and gave us Thai iced tea. Nok translated. The aunt said I seemed like a good man, that Nok was lucky. It felt like being brought home to meet family, like this was getting serious. On our 8th date, maybe 9th, we were having dinner at a small restaurant near Jomtien, not fancy, just a local place with good seafood. Nok got quiet halfway through the meal. I asked if something was wrong. She said, I really like you. You're different from other customers, but I feel uncomfortable about the bar now. If we're becoming serious, I don't want to work there anymore. The drunk men, the touching, it's not good, but I need to work. I have Ploy, my mother, they need money every month. She wasn't asking for anything, wasn't demanding I do something about it, just stating the problem like it was something we both had to figure out. I did the math in my head. She told me she made maybe 25,000 or 30,000 baht a month at the bar between salary and tips. That's about $800 or $900. My pension was 2,400 a month. If I gave her 800, she could quit, focus on spending time with me, work on her restaurant plan. It was less than my old mortgage payment, less than what Linda's medical bills had been those last few years before she died. And No could get out of a job she hated. I told myself I wasn't paying for a girlfriend. I was helping her transition to something better, like an investment in both our futures. I said, what if I helped you out? Gave you money each month so you could quit the bar. You could focus on us, on planning the restaurant. She looked uncomfortable. Said, I don't want you to think I'm using you. That's not what this is. That's what sold me, if I'm being honest. The hesitation. If she'd jumped at it, said yes immediately, I might have had second thoughts. But she seemed genuinely conflicted. That made it feel legitimate. I told her I wanted to do this, that it made sense for both of us. She finally agreed. Said okay, but only until the restaurant opens. Then I pay you back. 2 days later, she quit the bar. We celebrated with dinner at a nicer place, one with tablecloths and air conditioning. She was emotional, kept saying thank you, saying she couldn't believe she was free from that place. We walked along the beach afterward, past all the bar girls and tourists, and she held my hand. First time she'd done that in public. She moved out of the room she shared with 2 other bar girls, found a small studio apartment for 9,000 baht a month, about $270. 1 room, bathroom, tiny kitchen area. I helped her move. She had almost nothing. 2 suitcases of clothes, some toiletries, a few photos of Ploy. That was it. Everything she owned fit in my truck bed back home. We fell into a routine pretty quick. She'd go to the morning market, come back with groceries, cook Thai food for lunch, pad krapao, tom yum, things I couldn't pronounce but tasted incredible. She'd teach me Thai phrases. Swasdi krap for hello, Kop kun krap for thank you, Oroy for delicious. I was terrible at the tones, but she was patient. Evenings we'd watch movies on her laptop, Thai movies with English subtitles, American movies she'd already seen 10 times. Sometimes we'd just talk. She'd tell me about growing up in Buriram, about the rice farm, about her father dying when she was 15, about moving to Bangkok for school, then Pattaya for work, the progression that leads a hospitality management graduate to a bar on Soi Bua Khao. I told her about Portland, about the shop, about Linda, about how strange it felt to be starting over at 59. About 2 months in, I had to go back to Portland. The house had sold and I needed to be there for the closing, sign paperwork, deal with the bank, tie up all the loose ends of my old life. I told Nok I'd be gone maybe 5 weeks. She seemed genuinely sad about it. Said she'd miss me. We video called every day I was gone. She'd show me what she cooked for dinner, tell me about her day, ask about the house sale. Sometimes Ploy would be there when she video called from Buriram, this little girl waving at the camera saying hello in Thai accented English. I wired her the $800 while I was in Portland. First month's payment. She sent me a thank you message with a bunch of heart emojis. Said she was saving every baht she could for the restaurant fund. The house closed for $380,000. After I paid off the remaining mortgage and the real estate fees, I netted about $340,000. I put most of it in savings but withdrew $25,000 in cash, converted it to baht when I got back to Bangkok, about 750,000 baht. I kept it in the safe in my condo, just in case, I told myself. Emergency fund. Didn't really think about what emergencies I might need 750,000 baht for. When I got back to Pattaya, Note picked me up from the bus station on a borrowed motorcycle. She'd learned to ride while I was gone, she said. She seemed happy to see me. That night she cooked all my favorite dishes, everything I'd told her I missed. It felt like coming home to someone who cared. Looking back now, I can see the setup. The slow progression from dates to routine to dependency. The way she made herself essential to my daily life. But at the time, it just felt like a relationship developing naturally, like two people building something together. I should have seen it, but I didn't want to. The first month back in Pattaya full-time felt good, normal. The $800 went out on the first of each month, regular as clockwork. Knock would send me a thank you message, usually with photos of what she was cooking for dinner or something she'd seen at the market. Life had a rhythm to it. I'd wake up, she'd bring me coffee, we'd figure out the day together. It felt like what Linda and I had, just in a different place with different food. Month 2, Knock mentioned that Ploy needed new school uniforms and books. School was starting up again in Buriram. She showed me a list her mother had sent, all in Thai, but I could see numbers. About 8,000 baht total, maybe $240. I gave it to her without thinking twice. Of course kids need school supplies. That's just part of having a family, even if the kid wasn't technically mine. Month 3 brought the first real request that made me pause. Knock got a call one evening, spoke rapidly in Thai, her face going serious. When she hung up, she looked worried. Said her mother was sick, having stomach problems, needed to see a doctor in Buriram. The local clinic wasn't good enough. They needed to go to the provincial hospital. It would cost about 15,000 baht, around $450. She showed me paperwork the next day. All in Thai script I couldn't read, but there were official-looking stamps, a hospital logo at the top, some kind of invoice or receipt. I asked if I could wire the money directly to her mother. Wanted to feel like I was helping the right person. Knox said yes, gave me the Western Union details. I sent it that afternoon. She was grateful, really grateful. Said her mother was so relieved that I was helping her family in a way her ex-husband never did. That made me feel good, like I was doing something that mattered. Month 4, the restaurant conversation started getting serious. Knox said she'd been looking at locations, doing research. Found a small shop house near Jomtien that could work. Right size, decent foot traffic, owner was flexible. But he wanted key money plus first and last month's rent up front. Thai landlords do that apparently. Total of 40,000 baht, about $1,200. She asked if I wanted to come see it. We drove over on her borrowed motorcycle. It was real. Small storefront, maybe 400 square feet, kitchen area and back. Previous tenant had been a phone repair shop. The owner was there, older Thai guy, spoke some English. He showed us around, talked about the lease terms. Not translated the parts he said in Thai. It seemed legitimate. The guy existed, the space existed, the numbers made sense. I paid it. Told myself it was an investment in our future. In something she'd own, something that could generate income so she wouldn't need my monthly $800 forever. She was emotional about it, hugged me in front of the landlord, said she'd pay me back once the restaurant was profitable. Said this was her dream coming true. That's when things started feeling a little bit off. Small things at first. Her phone was always face down on the table. I'd never thought about it before, but I noticed it suddenly. Every time, screen down. When it buzzed with line messages, she'd flip it over quick, read it, put it back face down. When I asked who was messaging, she'd say friends, her mother, nothing important. She started going to the gym, which was great, I told myself. She should take care of herself. But she'd come back with new workout clothes I definitely hadn't bought her. Matching sets, the kind that cost money at the sports stores in Central Festival. When I mentioned it, she said her friend worked at a shop, gave her stuff cheap. Plausible enough. Then the iPhone. She'd been using an older Samsung, screen was cracked, worked fine. One day she came over with a new iPhone, looked like a 13 or 14, not the newest model, but not cheap either. Maybe 20,000 baht even used. She said she'd saved up from the monthly money I gave her, been really frugal, wanted to upgrade so we could video call better. I did the math in my head, 25,000 baht monthly from me, minus her 9,000 baht rent, minus food, minus sending money to her mother for ploy. There wasn't enough left over to save for a phone like that, not in 2 months. But I didn't say anything, felt petty to question it. Around this time, I started noticing she was harder to reach when she went off country. She'd go visit her mother in Ploy every few weeks, stay 2 or 3 days. When I'd try to video call, she'd say she was busy helping her mother, or the connection was bad, or her phone battery was dying. We'd text online, but it felt different. Short messages, less warm. I met Phil from Manchester one evening by the pool. He'd been in Pattaya 5 years, lived in my building, one of those expats who's seen everything. We got to talking over Leo beers. He asked about Knock, said he'd seen us together. I told him about the arrangement, about her quitting the bar, about the restaurant plans. Phil got this look on his face. Not judgmental exactly, more like sympathy mixed with knowing something I didn't. He said, "Mate, you know most of these girls have multiple sponsors, yeah? It's just business to them. They're supporting families, they need security. One farang isn't enough." I got defensive, told him Knock was different. She'd quit the bar. We weren't doing the bar scene thing. We were building something real. The restaurant was happening. I'd seen the location, met the landlord. Phil just nodded. Said, "All right, mate, hope it works out for you." But he had this look that said he'd heard this exact story before and knew how it ended. I left annoyed, told myself Phil was just bitter. Probably had a bad experience himself and was projecting. He'd been in Pattaya too long, got cynical, couldn't see when something genuine was happening. Knock wasn't like the girls he'd known. But that conversation stuck in my head, started making me notice other things. The way she'd angle her phone away from me when scrolling Facebook. How she'd sometimes smell like cologne I didn't wear when she came back from errands. The fact that her gym schedule seemed random, sometimes 3 times a week, sometimes not at all. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was letting Phil's cynicism infect me. That Thai families really did have a lot of financial obligations, more than American families. I'd read about it online. The whole culture of children supporting parents, of extended family responsibilities. It was different here. I couldn't judge it by Portland standards. Looking back now, I can see what I was doing. All the mental gymnastics to make the story work. To avoid seeing what was probably obvious to everyone else. But when you're lonely, and someone's giving you a reason to wake up every morning, you'll rationalize anything. You'll explain away every red flag, because admitting you're being played means admitting you're that guy, the fool, the walking ATM with a farang pricing sign on his forehead. I wasn't ready to admit that yet. Month 6, Knox said the restaurant was ready to happen, the landlord was getting impatient, other people were interested in the space, we needed to move now or lose it. She had it all broken down. Equipment deposits, 20,000 baht. Initial inventory for the kitchen, 30,000 baht. Basic renovations, painting, fixing up the storefront, another 15,000 baht. That was 65,000 baht total, about $1,950. Then there was the business license and health permits. She showed me printouts from Thai government websites, all official looking. Said it would cost 80,000 baht, around $2,400. To get everything legal and registered. Total investment to get the restaurant operational was about $15,000. I'd been doing my research by then. I knew foreigners couldn't own businesses in Thailand outright. You needed a Thai partner holding at least 51%. You could only be a 49% owner max. There were ways around it. Company structures and nominee shareholders, but those were risky. The legal way was to have a Thai national as majority owner and hope you could trust them. Knock explained all this to me before I even brought it up. Said we'd do it properly, get a lawyer to draw up partnership papers, make sure I was protected. She'd own 51% because Thai law required it. But we'd have an agreement that I'd get my investment back first from any profits, then we'd split things fairly after that. It sounded reasonable, transparent even. I hesitated for the first time. $15,000 was serious money. Not life-changing for me. I still had most of the house sale sitting in my account back in the States. But it was real. A commitment. I sat in my condo that night doing the math. I was already in for about $8,000 over 6 months. The monthly 800 plus the school fees, the hospital bill, the key money for the shop house. What was another 15,000 if it meant she had a legitimate business that could support her? Then she wouldn't need my 800 a month. She'd have income, independence, something that was hers. And I'd be part of it. We built it together. Like when Linda and I renovated the house room by room, investing in a shared future. I told Knock I'd do it, but I wanted to see the paperwork first. She brought over a folder the next day, documents in Thai with official-looking stamps and seals, business registration forms, health department permits, lease amendments. I couldn't read any of it, but it looked legitimate. She offered to take me to a lawyer to get it all translated and verified. The lawyer wanted 10,000 baht just for a consultation, $300 to tell me what I already basically knew. I'm not cheap, but I'm practical. That seemed excessive for what amounted to him reading me documents and confirming what Knock had already explained. I told her I trusted her. We'd do it ourselves. Looking back now, that's the moment. That's when I crossed the line from being careful to being stupid. But at the time, it felt like showing faith. Like treating her as a partner, not as someone I needed to verify and double-check like she was trying to con me. I wired $15,000 to her Thai bank account on a Wednesday morning. Sat in the Bangkok bank branch on Pattaya, Thai, filling out forms, watching the teller process the transfer. It felt significant. Real, like we were really doing this. Nok was emotional when I told her it was done. Cried a little, hugged me, said she couldn't believe this was happening. Said her whole life she'd been working for other people, and now she'd have something that was hers. Said she'd make me proud, that the restaurant would be successful, that she'd pay me back every baht. 2 weeks later, she said she needed to go up country to Buriram to finalize the permits. Some bureaucrat there needed to sign off on something. It was complicated, Thai government stuff. She'd be gone 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. I offered to come with her, make a trip of it, finally meet her mother employed properly. She said no, it's just boring government offices and her family is traditional. They'd want to meet me under better circumstances. After the restaurant opened, we'd have a proper introduction, maybe a small ceremony. Her mother would want to do it right. Made sense at the time. She left on a Monday. For those 10 days, I barely heard from her. Short messages online, usually just busy today or still at office. A couple phone calls where she sounded rushed, said she couldn't talk long, the signal was bad, she'd call me later. She never did. I tried not to worry. Told myself Thai bureaucracy was probably a nightmare. All those forms in triplicate, the endless stamps and signatures. She was probably spending whole days in unair-conditioned government buildings dealing with board officials. She came back on day 11, said the permits were processing, should have final approval within a month. Everything was on track. That's when I started noticing the other changes. She'd moved apartments while she was gone, not back to the old studio, but to a nicer one-bedroom in a newer building closer to Beach Road. Rent was 14,000 baht a month versus the 9,000 she'd been paying. I asked about it when I visited. She said the old studio was too noisy, construction next door starting at 6 a.m. She couldn't sleep. This new place was quieter, had better internet for doing restaurant planning and ordering supplies online. Sounded reasonable. Then I noticed the motorcycle. A Honda PCX parked outside her building, nice clean scooter, the kind that goes for 50,000 or 60,000 baht even used. She saw me looking at it and explained before I asked. Her aunt needed money fast, some emergency, sold it to Nok cheap, only 25,000 baht. Nok figured she needed transportation anyway for the restaurant, for running to the market, meeting with suppliers. Also reasonable, but I was starting to feel something. Not suspicion exactly, more like that feeling you get when you're working on an engine and something doesn't sound right, but you can't pinpoint what it is. Just a sense that the timing's off somewhere. The explanations were always plausible enough that questioning them felt petty, like I was being controlling or mistrustful. She'd shown me the hospital paperwork for her mother. She'd taken me to see the shop house. The landlord was real, the location was real. So why wouldn't the permits be real? Why wouldn't she need a better apartment and a motorcycle if we were actually starting a business? I told myself I was being paranoid, that Phil's cynicism had gotten in my head, that I needed to trust the process, trust Nok, trust that we were building something together. But at night, alone in my condo, I'd lie there doing math. The 15,000 I'd just sent her, the ongoing 800 a month, the nicer apartment, the motorcycle. It was adding up faster than I'd planned. And the restaurant kept being a month away from opening, always just about to happen, but never quite there. I pushed the thoughts away, told myself patience. These things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. All the things you tell yourself when you're trying not to see what's right in front of you. I was sitting by the condo pool one afternoon in early July. Hot day, the kind where even the pool water feels like bath water. I had a Chang beer sweating in my hand, watching geckos run across the wall. Phil from Manchester came down from his unit, walked over with his phone in his hand. He had this look on his face. "Mate," he said, "I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but isn't this your bird?" He turned his phone around and showed me a Facebook photo. It was no question about it. She was at some beach resort, one of those infinity pools that looks out over the ocean, Phuket probably. She had her arm around an older Western guy, heavier than me, white beard, looked German or Scandinavian. They were both in swimsuits, holding cocktails with little umbrellas. Sunset in the background. She was smiling that same smile she gave me. The caption was in Thai. Phil tapped his screen, showed me the Google translation. "So happy for my birthday celebration," heart emojis. The comments underneath were all her friends congratulating her in Thai. "He treats you so well. You deserve this happiness." That kind of thing. The photo was dated 3 days ago. 3 days ago, Nok told me she was in Buriram with her sick mother. She'd send me a photo to prove it, her sitting in what looked like a hospital waiting room, fluorescent lights, plastic chairs, her wearing a face mask. Said her mother was getting tests done, she'd be there a few more days. I felt physically sick. Like the heat and the beer and the chlorine smell from the pool all hit me at once. Phil let me take his phone. I scrolled through Notch's profile. It was semi-public. I never thought to look before. Never occurred to me. There were more photos. Dinners at nice restaurants in Phuket. Selfies with the same guy, the one with the white beard. Photos going back months, all the way back to when we'd first met, maybe before. The recent comments mentioned his name, Klaus. "Happy birthday, Klaus. You two look so happy." Someone wrote in English, "Best couple." I sat there staring at the screen. Phil stood next to me, not saying anything. Eventually, he went up to his condo and came back with another beer. Handed it to me. Sat down in the next chair. "I should have told you sooner," he said. "I saw her around. With different blokes. But I thought maybe you knew, maybe you had an arrangement. Some guys don't care." I told him I didn't know, that I thought we were building something. He nodded, said, "Yeah, mate, they're good at making you think that." We sat there for maybe an hour. The sun went down, the pool lights came on, made the water glow blue. Phil didn't say "I told you so." Didn't need to. The sympathy on his face was worse. Finally, I pulled out my phone and opened LIN. Typed a message to Knock and Bore. "Who is Klaus?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Read at 6:47 p.m. Then nothing. I stared at my phone for an hour. She'd read it but wasn't answering. Around 11 p.m. I got a message. "We need to talk, but not on phone. I come tomorrow." I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there in my condo with the air conditioning rattling, playing back every moment, every conversation, looking for where I'd missed it. But I knew. Phil had tried to tell me. The phone always face down. The new iPhone. The gym schedule that made no sense. I'd seen it, I just hadn't wanted to. She showed up the next afternoon around 2 p.m., knocked on my door like nothing was wrong, came in, sat on my couch, same spot she always sat. I showed her the photos on Phil's phone. I'd screenshotted them. She didn't deny anything. Didn't even look surprised, I'd found out. She said, "Klaus support me 2 year already. He live Phuket full time. I see him every month. You only hear half time before." She paused. "I need security. I have ploy, have my mother, have family. One man not enough." I asked if I was the only other one or if there were more. She shrugged. Said, "You and Klaus Main. Sometimes short time with tourist, but that different." I asked her why. Why go through all this? The dates, the cooking, the whole girlfriend act. She looked genuinely confused. Said, "You want somebody. I need money. This is normal. You have good life, pension, money in bank. Klaus same. We all get something. I never say I love you. Never promise marry. You want help me. I let you help." "What about the restaurant?" I said. She looked away for the first time. "No restaurant," she said. "Money go to my family. Ploy school. My mother house need fix. My brother need money. Some for apartment, for motorcycle." She paused. "Some for when I visit Klaus. He not give me enough for travel. So all of it was fake. The permits, the paperwork, everything, not fake," she said. "Just not restaurant. I never lie about my family need money. That all true. Only restaurant not real." I told her I wanted her to leave. She stood up, said, "You not understand Thailand. Not understand how Thai lady must survive. This normal here. You should know before you come." I opened the door. She walked out. Within an hour, she'd blocked me online. I tried to check her Facebook, but it had gone private. Tried to call her phone and got a message in Thai, number disconnected. She'd probably swapped SIM cards already. Easy to do here. 7-Eleven sells them for 49 baht. I sat in my condo that evening watching the sun go down over Pattaya. The heat, the noise of motorbikes, the smell of street food drifting up from Suad Wakao. Everything that had felt like home a month ago felt foreign again. The thing that got me wasn't the money. It was the realization that she'd never seen me as a person. Not really. I was a pension with a pulse. Same as Klaus, same as whoever else. We were sources of funding for a life I'd never be part of. 1-500 thought I was building something. Thought I was helping someone I cared about transition to a better life. Thought the $800 a month meant something. But it was just a transaction. Always had been. She was right about one thing. She'd never said she loved me. I just assumed it because I needed to believe it. I spent the next week barely leaving my condo. Ordered food from Grab, let it sit on the counter until it got cold. Sat on my balcony watching motorbikes go by on Suab Wakao, listening to the same sounds that had felt exciting 2 months ago. Now they just felt loud. I did the accounting. Had to know exactly how much. It's what I do, right? Diagnose the problem, assess the damage. $800 a month for 7 months. That's $5,600. The school uniforms and books, $240. Hospital visit for her mother, $450. Restaurant key money, $1,200. The big one, equipment and permits, $15,000. Then there were things I'd forgotten about or blocked out. An emergency with her aunt, 300, ploy's birthday, 200. Fix the roof at her mother's house, 800. It added up. Total came to about $24,000. Not the $14,000 I'd been telling myself. I'd underestimated. Conveniently forgot a few transactions. Nearly a quarter of what I'd gotten from selling the house Linda and I built together. The money stung. But worse was understanding what I'd actually been paying for. Not Knox's company. Not even the fantasy of a relationship. I'd been paying to feel needed. To have a reason to check my phone in the morning. To believe someone gave a damn whether I woke up or not. The $800 a month was the cost of not dealing with my grief. In that light, it was almost reasonable. Cheaper than the therapy I'd never get. Phil checked on me a few days later. Asked if I wanted to come to an expat meetup. Just some guys who met at a bar in Jomtien once a week, shot the shit, compared notes. I almost said no, but figured sitting alone wasn't helping. Turned out to be 8 or 9 Western guys, all ages, sitting around drinking Leo and Singa. The stories came out fast once they knew what happened to me. Guy from Australia lost $50,000 on a bar he thought he owned but turned out to be in his girlfriend's cousin's name. American from Texas wired $100,000 for a house upcountry. Never saw the land, never saw the money again. British guy married a woman, paid 200,000 baht sinsad to the family. She disappeared 3 months later with a Thai boyfriend. I'd gotten off light, relatively speaking. One of them, Australian guy named Robbo, mentioned a dog shelter in Chiang Mai that was always looking for volunteers. Said it was different up north. Less Farang drama, more authentic Thailand, cheaper cost of living. The shelter was run by a Thai woman and a retired British couple, just needed people willing to do the work. Feed the dogs, clean the kennels, help with vet visits, nothing glamorous but honest work. Something about that appealed to me. Doing something useful. Working with my hands again, even if it was scooping dog shit instead of changing oil. Being around creatures that didn't lie about needing you. They either needed food and water and a scratch behind the ears, or they didn't. 2 weeks later, I was on a bus to Chiang Mai. 8-hour ride through mountains, stopping at gas stations where old ladies sold grilled chicken and sticky rice. The air got cooler as we climbed elevation. The city felt different. Quieter. Less neon. More temples. I found a guest house near the old city. 6,000 baht, a month for a room with a fan and a shared bathroom. $200. I could live on that plus food and still have most of my pension left over. The shelter was on the outskirts, past the night market, down a dirt road. 30 or 40 dogs in kennels and runs, mutts mostly, strays that had been picked up or surrendered. The British couple, John and Margaret, showed me around. Asked if I was okay with the work being physical and unglamorous. I told them I'd spent 35 years as a mechanic. I was good with unglamorous. The routine was simple. Show up at 7 a.m., feed the dogs, clean the kennels, walk the ones that were friendly enough. Midday break, then afternoon shift doing laundry, prepping food for the next day, taking dogs to the vet clinic in town when needed. The work was hot and dirty and smelled like you'd expect. But it was honest. The dogs didn't care about my pension or my dead wife or how stupid I'd been in Pattaya. They just wanted consistency. Food at the same time every day, clean water. Someone to pet them and tell them they were good. It was the most uncomplicated thing I'd done since Linda died. I kept thinking about what I'd told myself back in Portland, that I could fix my loneliness the same way I fixed a blown head gasket. Identify the problem, apply the solution, maintain it regularly. $800 a month, regular as clockwork. But people aren't engines. You can't fix emptiness by throwing money at it. All you do is paper over the hole with a convincing illusion. Real healing meant actually facing the grief, sitting with it, learning to live with yourself before you could live with anyone else. The dogs taught me that in a way nothing else could. They didn't need me to be anything other than present and consistent. I've been in Chiang Mai 4 months now, still got about 70,000 left in savings plus my pension coming in. Made some actual friends of the shelter. Other volunteers, mix of expats and locals, Thai staff who appreciated the work without expecting anything from me beyond showing up and doing my share. Started taking Thai lessons at a language school near Nimon Haman. Basic stuff, but enough to have simple conversations. Went on one date with a teacher there, woman about my age who taught English to Thai kids. We got coffee, talked about normal things. Realized pretty quick there wasn't a spark. That was okay. It was honest from the start. No financial arrangement, no expectations beyond 2 people seeing if they clicked. We didn't, and that was fine. I still think about Knox sometimes, feel stupid about the money. But mostly, I've learned to forgive myself. I was a 59-year-old widower trying to survive the worst thing that ever happened to me. I made bad choices, but they came from pain, not malice. The scam wasn't even that sophisticated. I just needed so desperately to believe in it. When you're paying someone to need you, they don't. That's the lesson. The $800 a month wasn't helping Knock. It was buying me permission to avoid dealing with Linda's death. To not face the fact that I was alone and didn't know how to be alone. Thailand didn't fix that. The dog shelter didn't fix it either. I had to fix it myself by learning to sit with the emptiness instead of trying to fill it with transactions disguised as connection. I'm getting there, slowly, one day at a time, one dog walk at a time. Vince is still in Chiang Mai today, still volunteering at that dog shelter. He's got about 70,000 left and a hard-won understanding of what money can and can't buy. His story isn't unique. We hear variations of it constantly. But what makes Vince's story worth telling is his honesty about what he was really paying for. It wasn't Knox Company. It was the permission to avoid his grief. If you're watching this and seeing yourself in Vince's story, whether you're already in Thailand or thinking about coming, understand this. Thailand won't fix what's broken inside you. It's not a factory reset for your life. It's just a place, with good people and bad people, honest relationships and transactions dressed up as romance. The difference between the two isn't always obvious, especially when you're desperate to believe. Come to Thailand if you want, but come as a whole person, not a broken one looking for cheap repairs. And if you do come broken, get therapy, join communities, volunteer, learn the language, build real connections before you build financial ones. Don't do what Vince did. Don't confuse being needed with being loved. This is Thailand. Subscribe for more real stories from expats who learned the hard way. And if you've got a story to share, you know where to find us. Take care out there.